So you want to make this the best year of your life, right? And you think to yourself, if I want to make this the best year of my life, I should probably read some books. But then that comes with the question, what books should I read? Well, me personally, I've read over 200 books in the past 17 years, nonfiction books, from science books to success books to business books to spirituality books to money books. And if I were to go back and only read 3 books to make it the best year of my life, these are the 3 books that I would read. And I'm gonna give you my favorite takeaways from each of these books. The first book is Think and Grow Rich. I can honestly say that when I read this book back in 2006, it changed my life because it made me realize that there were steps to being successful. Before I read this book, I always thought that rich people were just rich because they were born with something. But when I first read this book, I realized that there were certain steps that when I took them, it would almost guarantee my success. And my biggest takeaway that I want to give you from this book is the 6 steps to achieve any goal. That's what we're going to go over right now. Step number 1 is to figure out and get very clear exactly what it is that you want. And so instead of saying, I want to lose weight, get very clear on exactly how much weight you want to lose, what you want your body fat percentage to be at. Hell, even print out a picture of the person who has the body that you want so that you can fixate your mind on that goal. The second step is to figure out exactly what you're willing to give up in order to achieve that goal. So if weight loss is the goal, then what you want to make sure of is what you're going to give up. Maybe it's sweets, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drinking on the weekends with your friends, whatever it might be. You need to become very clear on what you're willing to give up in order to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Step number 3 is to figure out the exact date that you're going to hit that goal by so that you give yourself a deadline. Step number 4 is to create a definite plan that you're going to follow. So if weight loss is the goal for you, what it would look like is how often you're going to work out, what you're going to do in your workouts, what you're going to eat, and then come up with a meal plan of exactly what it's going to look like, and maybe even do some meal prepping in order to get there. Step number 5 is to develop a clear and concise statement that summarizes 1, 2, 3, and 4. This clear and concise statement would be probably a maximum of about 5 sentences. And then step number 6 is to read this out loud to yourself every single morning and every single evening. What I would recommend is doing something called habit stacking. So while you're doing something like brushing your teeth, which is something you're already doing, you're going to be reading this statement to yourself every single time you get done brushing your teeth. So you're going to do it in the morning and you're going to do it at night. So therefore, you're reminding yourself the exact plan of how you're going to hit your goal. And this book is crazy to go back and read 17 years later, because when I look through it, almost every single page is highlighted, it's underlined, it's written in, and you can see that this book was just something that completely changed my entire perspective of life the first time that I read it. So read this book, read it again, and then read it once more. The next book is The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. The reason why I recommend this book is because too many people are focused on trying to do too many things. It goes back to the Chinese proverb, which says if you try to chase 2 rabbits at one time, you'll catch neither one. Too many people have a plan A, they have a plan B, and they have a plan C. That's not going to work. It goes back to what Will Smith said. There's no reason to have a plan B because plan B will distract from plan A. When you look at the most successful people in the world, they had one plan and they put all of their eggs in one basket. If you take LeBron James, for instance, he didn't play basketball when he was younger during the week and then play volleyball on the weekend just in case basketball didn't work out. No, he put all of his intentions, 100% of his effort into one thing and one thing only. And the reason why this book changed my life when I read it was because I had 2 businesses at the time. One of them, I had an Amazon company that was doing really well. And on the other side, I had my coaching business. And I was putting 50% of my effort into both of them, trying to make them both succeed. But after reading this book, I asked myself a really important question. If I fast forward my life 10 years from today, do I want to be known as the guy who's running an Amazon business, or do I want to be known as the guy who has a coaching business and is changing people's lives? That made it really easy to decide what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be the Amazon guy. I wanted to be the guy who was coaching people and changing people's lives. So I shut down the Amazon business and I put 100% of my focus into my coaching business. And that is when my business actually exploded. And my biggest takeaway from this book is their focusing question. And that question is, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it will make everything in my life easier or unnecessary? Essentially, what is the biggest lever that I can pull in my life right now to make my life better? Because all too often, we're focused on our entire to-do list versus looking at our to-do list and looking at the one thing that's gonna make the biggest difference in our life and executing on that one thing on the to-do list and pushing everything else aside. So if you wanna be massively successful, read this book and focus on one thing and one thing only in your life. And the last book is a book called Talent is Overrated. I rarely hear people ever talking about this book, but it goes back to a phrase that my very first mentor used to always tell me: hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So when you look at that phrase, you can see this across many different places in life. For instance, if we take football as an example, there's always people like Jamarcus Russell, who came out, was supposed to be the #1 pick. He was a #1 pick. He was supposed to be an amazing quarterback, and he ended up being a dud. But then you can also see other people who weren't talented, but they put in the work. People like Tom Brady. He was picked number 199 in the draft and became the greatest football player that's ever played. Why? Because he worked harder than everybody else. Reason why I love this book is because it shows you it doesn't matter how talented you are, doesn't matter where you come from, and it doesn't matter what your skill set is right now, but if you work your butt off, you can do anything that you want to in this world. And my biggest takeaway from this book is something that he calls deliberate practice. Deliberate practice every single day. And what deliberate practice is sitting down and practicing something that is 20% outside of your skill set. So for instance, if you want to be an amazing guitar player, when you sit down to play every day, don't play what you already know. Play stuff that's a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Deliberate practice should make you be on the edge of what you're comfortable doing at all points in time. That is how you improve your skill set. So those are my 3 books that I recommend that you read this year. So what's a book that I didn't mention that you think should be in this video? Go ahead and comment it down below so that everybody watching this video can end up getting more books to add to their list. And to be honest with you, I want to see your favorite books so that I can add some extra books to my list as well.